well, everybody, welcome. And another thing, we're just talking to each other. You don't have to look at the camera.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, great.
Welcome to a special edition of our Justice Cast. It's the first in our series, what we call Let's Talk, where we get to have a sit-down conversation with people who are running for office, who are already in office. And first, when I say to people who are running for office, what were you thinking? No. But we're here to really just sit down with you guys. We're going to start with a warm introduction. This is not your normal political introduction. This is your first and last name and your favorite school memory, right? And for those who are watching us, we were sitting here with the District 4 school board candidates for Denver Public Schools, which covers Northeast Denver. We're excited to have them here, acknowledging that the current board member, Michelle Pottlebaum, is not here with us, not because she didn't want to be here, because she had some stuff that came up. We're all aware of that, and we're wishing her well. But we will get her. Nobody gets away from us, but we will get her on here. But I appreciate you guys being here. And Itzael, since you're one of our college interns, why don't you break us open with who you are and your favorite school memory, and we'll just go around, and then we'll get into the conversation.
Oh yeah, like Brandon said, I'm Itzael Garcia. I'm a college and career intern here at FaithBridge. I would say that my favorite memory from school, I don't know, I have a lot actually. Maybe it was probably senior year of high school. We got to write letters to different elected officials and different things we wanted to talk about. So that was pretty fun, especially because I love everything advocacy. So that's my favorite memory.
Nice, nice.
My name is Monica Hunter. I think my favorite memories are probably from college. That was the first time I had like a black teacher. Was my professor, Rosemary Allen, actually, and she's
Where'd you go to college at?
Metro.
Shout it out, right?
Yeah, at Metro, and she just kind of changed my perspective of teachers and seeing myself, and I just learned so much about history of things that just weren't taught in school. So
Nice.
college.
Dr. Allen is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just an aside, we went to an event and Dr. Allen was wearing, what are the red soles? You ladies know that?
Absolutely.
Red
She
bottoms.
dressed
She was wearing some red bottoms, and
Yeah.
my team the whole time was like, oh my gosh.
She-
I was like, I just, but I
Yeah,
guess
she
it's okay.
always looked phenomenal in that, like, just not
Yeah.
normal teacher.
No, regal. She's always regal. Just
Yeah.
most
She was
definitely.
very impressionable to me.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Jeremy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Jeremy Harris. I was the first graduating class in my high school.
Okay.
And one thing that I remember is I was over the first senior prank.
Okay.
And we took some cohesive caulking and we went around to every door in the school and we put caulk in it. And you could imagine what it caused the next morning at the school. So it was hilarious. We did get in trouble, but I will always remember that. And being the first graduating class.
Okay.
Tamaya Jackson, and I would say my memory really comes from middle school. We had accelerator reader programs which were designed to really focus on getting students reading, and one of the goals, if you met 80% of your accelerator reader goal, was that you got to go to Camp Twin Lakes. And so it was an overnight trip where we got to have s'mores and we went swimming, and really it was like a big slumber party for all of our classmates, and it was just a really fun memory, and it's a place that I hold near and dear and haven't been back in like many years, but I would say that's definitely a top memory for me.
Vernon Jones, and my middle school memory is one, and my kids are I won 2 city championships playing basketball. And basketball, believe it or not, point guard. I wasn't the center to my, I get it, I know what that was. That was some short shade right there. Oh, man, I think we're all about the same height. So. But no, that was the biggest thing, and I loved just middle school. Middle school was just great for me. I know it's messy sometimes for kids, and I was just fortunate to have a great middle school experience. In middle school is when I had my first black teacher and my first brown teacher. So that was very transformative for me. And in middle school, I also learned the value of therapy. I had a great counselor in my middle school. So middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade was great for me, and thought I was the stuff, you know. Coming out of middle school, going into high school, right? But then everybody else grew, and I stayed short, so there was no more basketball.
I can
after
relate.
that. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But
you're leading amazing work doing.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I never made it to the NBA, but here I am, right? So this is a conversation just to really talk through 3 things I told you guys when we come on is, once to really center ourselves on like what do we think is working in our city as far as Denver public schools, what do we think needs to be better, and then what can we dream together? Because at the end of the day, as I was telling them earlier, and I say this all the time, 16 years ago I was sitting where you guys were, running for school board of District 4, and because I was a young dad looking at my kids and looking at the outcomes that I was seeing, and I was like, oh my goodness, this needs some help. And that was my motivator, was because I was a dad of, at the time, 4 kids, now I have 5, and saying something's got to be done, right? And so you get involved in that kind of stuff, and fast forward 16 years later, here we are still working in the education space, looking at people who want to take on this duty of serving our school district. So, Jeremy, your dad, a little one at Swaggart, right, elementary. What's working?
Systemically, the system is working, I believe, exactly how it was designed to work. And if you are a white kid in Denver, I think that is working exceptionally well for you, but the system isn't working well for everybody.
Yeah.
I think the people that make up this system, they're doing a phenomenal job. Our teachers, our administrators, non-instructional staff, I think they show up every day and do the best that they can do with what they have. So the system is working. Unfortunately, it's just not working for all.
What's working for your kiddo? I mean, what are you proud of? I know you're also on the PTA.
Yeah,
You know,
serve on
proud
the
PTA
PTA.
dad,
I'm a
right?
proud PTA dad. What's working is I love the diversity. We're originally from Memphis, Tennessee, so coming from a school where majority of his class looks like him to transition into a school where he's the only black in his class and only 4 of blacks that make up the 4th grade at Swaggart. So I am proud to see how he's transitioned and how he's working in a new environment. I think Swaggart is a great school. I think they got great opportunities for kids, and I mean, he comes home and he seems to love the school. I think it's a great school.
That's good. Monica, what do you think? Monica's, you've been a teacher in this, started out in Green Valley, correct?
Well, I started out in Central Park at Willow.
Oh, Willow, that's right.
Yeah, when that school opened, and my daughter went there. Then I went to John and Mass, and then Green Valley.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of things are working. Otherwise, I wouldn't, have my kids in there.
Right.
My kids love their teachers, and I've always tried to work overtime to ensure that their teachers have what they need and are happy. I think DPS does a great job at ensuring that there's diverse populations. I think when I was a teacher, I had kids from Nepal and Afghanistan and Mexico and Cuba all in one class, and they allow you to celebrate that diversity openly and learn new things. And what else I think is going well is how they've stood strong against the attacks, the external attacks on LGBTQ students who've asked for certain things, and also for our immigrant students, being that progressive district to sue for, to ensure our kids are safe. That matters to me.
Yeah. Tamara, what's working, girl?
No, I think, what Monica and Jeremy have elevated has definitely resonated so much with me, and I would just add that the intentional focus on collaborating and having community-based organizations come into the schools to provide additional layers of support. One thing that I definitely think about is just out of school time. We know that for a lot of our students, the school schedule as well as the work schedule don't always align, and so having safe places to be in out of school time, whether it's at the Boys and Girls Club or other non-community-based organizations, I think has been really, really great to just see those intentional collaborations.
Great. You graduated just a little bit ago from DPS, and What worked for you? I mean, from all you heard from what worked for you?
I think for me, the most important thing was the supports I got. When I asked for them, I didn't really have to fight for those supports, and yet that's like the experience out of not everyone unfortunately gets that the same supports.
Remind me again, what elementary, middle school, high school?
For elementary school, I went to Charles M. Schenck Elementary. For middle school, I went to Compass Academy, and then I graduated from DSST College Spring in 2024.
Okay. So, and you felt those supports all along the way?
Yes, I always had teachers and staff and administrators that I could go to whenever I needed something, when I was struggling in class. I'm from Southwest Denver, so one thing I really appreciated was that every school I went to, I had at least one teacher that looked like me, one teacher that could relate to me, and one teacher that knew the same struggles I knew, simply because of the community we were a part of.
That's good, that's good. Off the top question, what's your favorite food, Monica?
Probably just Italian food. I could eat any pizza, pasta, any red sauce type of food. I'm here for it.
Okay, got it, Monica?
I love salad. Like, I will have salad every day. I'm
Any
sure my child.
specific salad?
It doesn't matter. I just love salad. My child is sick of eating
Do
salad.
you like the salad wedges with the, the wedges?
Yes, I love a wedge salad.
Okay.
I love a Cobb salad. I
Okay.
love a Greek salad. Any kind of
Oh,
salad.
she's
I'm
a
here
salad
for it. Yes.
connoisseur. Okay.
Yes.
Jeremy, now you're from Memphis. You
Come
gotta
on
have
now,
some-
barbecue.
I knew it was coming. So, Memphis barbecue. I wish you guys were here. I don't know, maybe you guys were around. I don't know, it's been a while, but M&D's was
I remember
used
that place.
was my favorite.
So
Used to be on right down from
20.
Manual High School. Yeah. And it used to be one of the best barbecue places in the country. But I would sneak there and get some rib tips, and they would rival Memphis barbecue. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, you know something. You said rib tips.
Yeah, some burnt ends. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
okay.
Yeah. So, what else? Is there anything else that we're working when you say, hey, I am proud. If I'm going to be on the school board, I can initially say, I'm going to be proud of this from day one. Is there anything else that's you're proud of? I would say as a dad of a recent graduate from DPS, my daughter graduated from Denver Online High School after COVID went on, and she was at a traditional school, and then found her groove kind of in the COVID pandemic era. Was like, I really don't like being around people, and this online thing's kind of working, right?
Yeah.
And I will tell you that they don't get enough credit at Denver Online for the, shout out to Casey Burton and all the crew there. They do an amazing job, I think, with students from all ages, from 9th grade all the way through 21 years old, and helping them navigate that. So if I was bragging about something else that's going on as far as a practice of the district, I'd brag about our Denver Online school that just doesn't get enough credit. But I will say this, their graduation ceremonies are very long, and I talked to Casey about that. I'm like, dude, come on, man, they got it. But other than that, great experience with that for kids. What was you?
As I've been on social media and just looking at the different senior sunrises, ceremonies, and celebrations that have happened, I love seeing the students decorate their overalls and just really the sense of like accomplishment and achievement starting the school year off with senior sunrise and then obviously going into the rest of the year. But it's been really beautiful and amazing to see that. Those traditions be held. So
What else, Monica? What else are you excited about?
I think just running, like regardless of what happens, like you said, it takes a lot. It's a lot on your family. It's a lot of like professionally. It takes a lot to like put yourself out there. My therapist said it's like you're going on like a public interview and you're asking the public very publicly to hire
So,
you. And it's like the most vulnerable thing you could do. And you're busy. You're not home as much, and most of us still have to work, I believe. And so I think I'm proud. I get my kids get out with me, and they love to just, I think regardless of what happens, I'm glad that my kids could see me doing something so different. And I think those seeds, I hope, will just plant, and they know that demystifies it and lets them know they can do it too. So just being on this journey and having my kids kind of see it kind of makes me proud.
That's good. Jeremy, what else are you proud about?
Yeah, I like the new app from Board Hawk. I mean, not Board Hawk, Board or docs. I
Okay.
don't know what it's called, but I think it's very helpful. It's a very useful tool.
Okay.
And I can really appreciate them going in that direction.
They're appreciating you saying that right now as they
Gotcha,
do that.
gotcha. I really
Because
like it. Yeah. it's-
we got on them a lot about it. It's, we want it to be accessible to the community, but you get on there and it takes 18 clicks to get to the thing you need.
Mhm.
And they're still about, we give them a hard time all the time. I'll send them, I'm like, still 12 clicks, still, but they're getting better at that,
They are.
that accessibility and making it better. That's good. I'm still trying to get some more positive stuff out too before we jump into what's not working. It's what else? What else? Yeah, go ahead, Mom.
I was like, my kids riding the bus for the first year it just didn't work with my preschool kids. And it's actually gone fine. I'm like a nervous
transportation.
mom, but like transportation, like the few times they've been late, you can track them on the app or you can call and they'll like literally locate the bus, and it's not been that seamless in the past.
Shout out
It's
to the
been harder.
transportation department. I want to shout out, she's no longer our transportation person, but Nicole Portee was our transportation person who a lot of the stuff we're seeing today, she was responsible for. They got her down back south, I think, South Carolina. Maybe she's working now.
Yeah.
But a lot of that stuff was like trial when and so to hear somebody say that, she's going to watch this and she's going to be very happy.
Yeah, they've done a great job now.
Yeah, isn't it great? I mean, it's a great tool when it's
It
used
is,
right, when everybody uses it
yeah. You
effectively.
can literally just track where your kid is at.
Are they riding a regular route, or are they riding it like a Success Express route?
That part I'm not sure. Like I know what his bus is called. It's almost just like a shuttle. Like
Yeah.
you can just get on and get off. You don't have to carry the badge anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's just really accessible
Yeah,
for
that's good.
families.
That's good to
So,
know.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you're proud of before we jump in, sir?
I think the one thing I'm the most proud of is the diversity of how our district has grown, not only with the student body, but also with the different amounts of schools we have that parents get to choose, whether it's a traditional neighborhood school, a charter school, an innovation school, anything like that. We've even gotten to expand like career technical education in our schools. So it's great that parents and students get to choose the type of education that fits them the best and the type of education that is going to help them grow the most. Like you said with Denver Online was what fit your student the most. I like that Denver has grown to be a district where parents can find a school that will fit their students and will meet their students' needs regardless of if it's traditional, charter, anything like that. And I really appreciate that we have all of that in our district.
Yeah, we're trying to work that out. It's probably going to be that's a good segue, because it will go into like, what are the things that we think we need to work on? What are the things that as we look at the district and say, yeah, we're doing good there, but I really think there's still some gaps there. I will tee it up as like, to Ithael's point, like this whole, we used to call it the portfolio schools, and then we became the family of schools because portfolio just still sounded cold, and now we want to be the family, right? And I think like any family, you have family problems.
Right.
And I still think we still have some family problems as far as like how do we help have the diversity of models and delivery systems and other boards, right, that are involved in those managing of some of those schools that Ithael talked about. How do we really get everybody to move together, right? Because it's about, to his point, parents are looking for spaces that can serve their kids well. And as a district, if you can't meet that need fast enough, you got to call partners to help you meet it. But you got to do it in a way that doesn't create, I think, what is still, because I remember some of the arguments I'm hearing, like as you guys are running, the same arguments that people were saying 16 years ago when I ran, 20 years ago, and I've been in this a little bit, saying the same things, like trying to pit this against each other. And to itself, but parents are just like, hey, can I get in a good school? Can I get in a great school? Can I get in a great school where there's no achievement gap, or we're not dealing with safety issues? Can I just get into a good school, right? So for me, I think that's the thing. Like, how do we still? We're not solving it. It's just like us talking. And I still think that we need to do a better job of working as a family of schools, if that's really what we're going to be, and having board members understand like. It doesn't serve us well if we're pitting models against models, right? We need to be learning from each other, right? Hey, that's where we're right down the street from Polaris. Polaris is one of my schools that I like to brag on a lot in the district. 95%, I think, proficient in reading and 92% proficient in math, right? They're doing well. Everybody says, oh, they're a GT school. I said, oh, okay, I get it. But kids are kids, right? And so you got to be able to meet them and serve them. And so I know it's possible, but we got to learn from each other. What do you guys think? What do we need to work on that's top of mind, Monica, when you think about all the roles that you played in as a parent primarily, but then as an educator and then somebody who works with CA, what are the things that are bubbling to the top? Like, hey, we can do this better.
I think with offering choices, there just has to be accountability for schools. I've never taken a hard line on like charter versus this. I think accountability at all schools is a thing that comes to my mind. It's at the top of my list always is going to be safety. When I knock doors, that's kind of what I hear the most. And I always, in the back of my mind, I'm like, it seems like more people became aware at East, but like I'm from here and I've heard and it's been a thing.
Yeah.
It's not, East was not the first time that violence happened. It was the time, right? It just, a particular demographic kind of woke up to it. But school safety is always going to be a big one, and I think it's polarizing sometimes.
What does that mean to you, though? When you say school safety, we can be better at it. What is that? And I'm not asking you to solve everything.
Yeah.
But when you say we can be better at safety, what does that mean for you?
Well, I think we have to involve parents more in the conversation, because what all of us are always asked on every candidate forum is like, yes or no. Do you want SROs? Do you not want them? What are you going to do? What are you not? Right? But to me, it even if I personally say yes or say no, we have to engage the community and ask them, what do you want? Do you want that in schools? What does safety look like for you? Because even if we put all of these things in place, if parents don't feel safe, it wouldn't, make a difference. So it's,
and I think it's also understanding too there's that part, but I think also like what we do here is educating the community around what is also the legal burden that school districts have. I mean, we pass a lot of laws here in our state around school district accountability. In our state, sadly, we carry that reputation of having some of the worst school shootings that have happened in the country have happened here in Colorado. So I think also helping people understand that when we say safety, there's also that legal burden of, hey, school districts do have to make some decisions, because if not, they're now liable if something happens, right? But I think helping communities understand that is that there is definitely what you said. We got to talk to parents, we got to talk to kids, and when talking to them, we can handle it. Tell us the whole thing, like, hey, y'all, this is this new law that is helping drive some of the decision making that we have to make. And while you may not understand some of the stuff we might have to decide as a board, here's what's informing it. It's not just about, hey, this is what we want, what we don't want. We appreciate that, right? But there's also these other legal burden things that we've got to be responsible for. What do you guys think?
I mean, I think that talks about the transparency piece, in that if we're going to do the education, show your hand, like tell us what's going on. I think if we're expecting...
Do you feel we're not showing our hand?
Not all the way, but
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
If we are, expecting our students to kind of show up and we're going through the learning process with them, like do that same thing when it comes to community around like what is actually happening so that we can understand. And in some cases, I'm sure there are community members who could even maybe step in to fill some of the gaps and help even be carriers of the message to tell their friends who may not be able to come and be present all the time.
Yeah, Jeremy, to that point, open hand transparency. If you believe, and I'm not saying you guys have said this, I'm just throwing this out there, what I've heard on these streets. If the district has a low trust account with community, how do you, as a board member, raise that trust account so that when you are talking to us, we believe that you're being transparent, that we believe that that hand is really open and you're telling us everything? How would you approach this negative trust account that the district has had because of many years of struggle with community? How do you fix that? Because Monica's right, you got to talk to parents, you got to talk to kids, but if you got to talk to business owners, but if the business owners and the kids and the families like, oh my God, here comes the district.
Show me the money. Show me the money. And
Jared Wire, for the young guys don't even know what it is.
Yeah. So I think we have to get back to that public facing dashboard to really show accountability and how our schools are performing. I believe once we show that to families, it creates transparency, and it helps families to make decisions around school choice, because it's not a real choice if we have nothing to measure schools' growth by. So I would want to see a public facing dashboard.
What would the dashboard say about safety though?
What would the dashboard say about safety?
Yeah, what's on that dashboard related to safety based on like what Monica said, what Tamaya said?
Sure.
what is the measure that tells me as a parent
Yeah.
that my school's safe?
Yeah, we want to look at the number of disciplines that may have taken place in those schools.
Okay.
Incidents where guns or weapons, drugs have been brought into school that should be on that dashboard. Hey, this many weapons were found in our school, unfortunately, this year. We had these many incidents where students were referred to law enforcement.
Okay.
So it's a lot that we can put on that dashboard to show the entire climate of the school. That's how you, I believe, show the money.
How do you deal with some people who say safety is that teacher who's in front of my kid doesn't believe in my kid because my kid is black or brown, and how is, because to some people that's safety, right? We talk about we want to be a safe, welcoming schools where kids feel like they belong. What if the safety issue is I don't feel safe learning in here? Right? I get all the physical safety stuff. I get the vestibules. I get the SROs. I get all that kind of stuff. But if you read student data, student data is not really talking about the stuff that I think we are sometimes afraid as adults. Students are saying, I don't know if the person who's in front of me, the teacher, the leader, whoever it is, believes in me. How do we measure that safety?
Yeah, I mean, I think one way to do it as you know, to ask the students, how are you feeling? We can do it through surveys. We also know that sometimes surveys get really long and they can be interpreted in certain ways, but I also think let's have focus groups. Let's take some instructional time to really kind of build that into morning meeting or whatever your circle or your end of day practices, whatever the policy is that you set, really wanting to talk about that. And if it's the teacher standing in front of you that you're not comfortable with, then where's the administrator, where are the counselors? Having other people come in to lead that space could also be an option as well.
Can you policy solve for racism? That's this deep question, right? But we're talking about, because I hear people talk about injustice, inequities, racism, whatever. Can you as a board, we've heard that we've got the La Raza report, we got the Bailey report. Before that, Dr. Bailey in the 90s had shared her concerns, right? Before that, you have Rachel Bino, Omar D. Blair, who were sharing these same concerns, and we're still hearing the same things. Is there a policy that solves for injustice and racism that we can pass?
There's a system that's set up to allow racism to happen, so we dismantle the system.
Okay. All three of y'all dismantling the system. What are we doing, Monica? Because you've been in this, you know this,
Yeah.
and you get to do it, from the state level, local level, and you've done some federal work too. How do you solve for that as a board member, policy setter?
I think we expand on what's already been created. The Black Excellence resolution was a policy directly created to address systemic racism faced by Black students and teachers, and there's hard data within that policy. Like Director Bacon put hard data of, look, these are the suspensions, these are the reading scores, these are the things. What that needs is, I would just say, more accountability, because every school was able to just implement their own Black Excellence plan, right? So what if you're the perpetrator of the racism,
right,
and now you have all control at your school to create one? I've seen great Black Excellence resolutions at schools, and I've seen it just be like a movie night for Black kids, right? Like, there has to be more uniformity around that. Not, I say less autonomy in order, but I do think you can, in some ways I think you can policy out, and then in some ways no, because it's systemic and this is not really built for us in the first place. So I say yes and no.
Okay. Yeah. What do y'all think?
I agree with both. We have to disrupt the system, and then also we have to realize that racism to me, it lies within your heart. It's in your soul. It's who you are. And what we do to combat that is that's where we leverage with equity and making sure that those who are fathers away from opportunity, that we make sure that they have the resources that they need. That
goes back to your show me the money.
Show me the money.
This what you guys are over as the board. You'll be over a nearly $2 billion budget, right? And then you talk about the bonds and the mill levies that we get. You'll also be helping to be there's oversight committees for those things, but as the board, you still also are informed of those things. I know that there's a board member who sits on, board member or two that sits on those committees. What are you going to do when you have this policy and then the practice of budgeting, which is the superintendent's role, right? You set the policies, right? But then the practice of how things are going to be distributed, and then even after that, even after the superintendent sets these, how this is going to be distributed to the schools, it then goes to the principal, and now the principal's deciding how this thing's going to play out at the school level. How are you as a board member going to make sure that the money that is coming into the district is actually solving for the things that the district has decided is a root cause problem?
We need to be intentional about the ask with the data dashboards. We have to be more intentional around what are the reports that we need to be able to see. We also know that a lot of things get passed in just the consent agenda, and that there isn't a lot of room for discussion around those things. And so, yes, showing up in spaces where you can be on the finance committee, where there's a little bit more in-depth conversation, but you know, once again, that's another way to kind of not be 100% transparent. So maybe we need to have a conversation around how we redo consent agendas so that we can actually talk about, you know, if we're spending large sums of money on different things that aren't necessarily tied to direct outcomes for students, then we need to have conversation about that.
Yeah, what do y'all think?
I agree. As I've been saying on this campaign trail that, you know, DPS is too top heavy. I think that, you know, my first thing if elected is to, of course, do that audit and to see how we can make cuts from central office, positions that don't affect our students' outcomes.
Yeah, let me. I love it when people say that. To me, it's a great campaign thing to say when you're running that an organization is top heavy, and maybe there are some positions that would cut. I actually have a list of people that would fire.
Yeah, and then
I have names, but
How did that list come about?
oh yeah, I know. That's see, it's been you know, accumulated over the years. But when we also look at this, when people say cut central office, this is as a parent. I just last night we were at an event for FACE, Family and Community Engagement. I'm sure you guys know the acronym, but we were at an event for FACE, and FACE was talking about a thing called constituency services, right? And so in the time that I've been working with the district, I've seen, because we've either cut central office or because, you know, different things that we've had to bargain, because we got to take care of our different bargaining groups. We got to make sure that the adults definitely in the system are paid livable wages, that they're paid at the level that is I don't think we ever get to the point where we are paying teachers the level that they deserve. This is the son of a teacher right here. So, you know, but I think we have to acknowledge that as we cut from here, we're making cuts from central office stuff that is actually essential for families. Like when you cut constituency services, there's a phone line that parents can call, and when there are less people to answer that phone line, you now have parents who are like in crisis because there's not enough people to deal with that. Or as board members, you'll find out there used to be, back in the day, there used to be a department called government services, right? External affairs government, the name is similar to that. But they supported the board members, right? Because guess what you don't get when you get to be on the board?
Admin assistant.
You don't have an admin assistant. You don't have an admin assistant. You don't have staff. It's not like city council, right, where you've got somebody that's helping you. But you think you're covering 90,000 kids, right? You're covering, and you guys want to be in 4. It's the largest part of the district, and it's growing, right? There is no one there to help you answer the emails.
Although shout out to Ms. Atwood, because I know
Oh,
that
no,
she is definitely holding it down. in
Definitely
some
has
space
to,
too.
right?
Yes.
But think about what we're talking about. We have to, I think it's easy for us to say cut. I think it's more important for us to look at the whole picture and say, again, to what you're saying, show me the money. Are our current structures and systems leading to better student outcomes? Student outcomes are not just A, B, C, D, but it is wellness. Do the parents feel like they're being heard? Do the parents feel like they're getting resolution when they have to escalate? When their kid is lost on a bus, the tracker's not working, and I call the constituency services line, and you put me on hold for 30 minutes because, right? They're about to see me on 9 News because it came from my baby, you know?
Yeah, I was gonna say, to your point with that, it's like, it's important to be able to understand first and be able to look at, because like you said, we can say cut, but at the same time, how are we looking at how each department, how each service affects families individually, affects schools individually, because what a school in like the Southwest needs might not be the same what a school in like Northeast needs or what a school in Central Denver needs, and we need to really understand to learn how to understand first and learn how to look into our community, get to know our community, and really see what is essential for our students to be able to learn and thrive in our community.
Shout out, because that is the FaithBridge value right there. You get an extra one. Because understand first, right? It's like, it's understand it's a big system, right? It's a big system, and you press one lever here, and you're like, you sense another level, another area spiraling. So I do not envy what you guys may be taking on here in a little bit. 31 days.
Absolutely.
Another fun question. When you're stressed, overwhelmed about campaigning, what is your go-to food? Like,
I like ice cream.
okay.
I think
Do you have a flavor though?
Coffee.
Okay.
Jamocha from Baskin Robbins.
Okay.
But any
okay.
coffee brand.
Okay.
You know, coffee ice cream.
Tahani gelato.
I'm
Java
familiar.
chip. So delicious.
So delicious.
We gonna be if y'all see us eating ice cream, you don't know we all Monica, what do you?
I don't like the food there, but I like Sonic. I like the slushies.
Okay.
And like the sundaes.
Do you go during happy hour? You get the half off?
Whenever. Like,
Oh, whenever.
When it's a hard day.
Okay, yeah.
Get in the large.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you?
I'm like, I need hot chips. Like,
Oh.
it doesn't matter what brand, I just need spicy.
Yeah, that's
The most recent bag is spicy Doritos.
The
So,
Flamin'
the Flamin' Hot
Hot.
Doritos.
I'm on you
Yes.
with that one, because you always see me at like 12 p.m., 1 p.m. with a bag of chips already. Sometimes even as early as 10 a.m. I'm already eating.
He comes into the office. It's not school day. I'm like, bro, it's only 10 a.m.
It's a paper.
It is the crazy thing. There's a lot, I think, that we could probably sit here and say we can do better as a district. I mean, when you look at achievement gaps, we know that they exist, right? I am loudly a person who says when I see a school that's at 11.9% proficiency in reading and 1.9% proficiency in math, I don't care how much they're growing, right? Because that proficiency tells me those kids are gonna leave middle school not at grade level, right? And I get it. I was an educator, was a school leader. I understand that one test does not tell me everything about kids, right? I know that, I believe that. But I also know that in my school, we don't just take one test, right? I know that the CMAS is one test, but I also know that we have interim assessments, right? I also know that I have classroom stuff that we take assessment of kids on. And so we know, as educators, where our kids are struggling. We know where we need to invest more. And so I am very much concerned about having board members who will finally, I think all of you said this, have transparency about where kids are, helping families understand what that means and how families can then lean in and improve those kind of things. Northeast Denver has been my hood. My family's lived out in Mont Bell since 1967, so we say we are Bellside, right? And Park Hill, and all that is Northeast, right? So for me, even with the reopening of Mont Bell High School, as beautiful as that campus is, oh my goodness, breathtaking. I live right down the street from it, and when I do my walks at night, I get chills every time I see dignity, diversity, pride in that window, right? That's who we are, Bellside. But what I'm most concerned about is, are those kids who are now in the new Montbello gonna come out academically, socially, and emotionally well, and ready to pursue the dreams that they have? And I wanna know what policy, what are you gonna be fighting for on the board to make sure that's the case, rather than trying to sell me a bill of goods that, hey, everything's okay. Well, everything's okay, but you just graduated. A 12th grader who, when he took his acuplacer, it says he's only at a 6th grade reading level. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Talk to me, Monica.
Yeah. It just breaks my heart because kids are leaving, and it's like you only wonder like what happens to them in the future when they don't have what they need to be successful. That kind of what worries me the most about it, particularly for Black students who across the board in DPS are, really, really struggling and not anywhere near proficient. I think we have to dedicate specific time in blocks to those kids who are not reading on proficient level. We have to like divert resources to it. Oftentimes at schools that are struggling, they either get put on watch and things like that, but that doesn't mean more resources, right? Like those are the schools that end up getting cuts because you're rewarded for being proficient and being a on green school. And so oftentimes those schools don't have interventionists and things like that. So definitely just diverting funding to that and ensuring that they have the support.
Dr. Jeremy, show us the money. Right? Jeremy, how do you say about that?
I think we have to really look at prioritizing that early literacy.
Okay.
And people are not going to like this, but we got to have a honest conversation around retention. Okay. If a child is not reading on 3rd grade, we are not doing justice by promoting them to the next grade. I feel that as a district and as educators, we are not doing our job if we're just knowing the kid is not reading on grade level and just promoting them to the next grade.
ACT used to, and they still report this, but ACT, when I was running our high school, ACT said if a kid comes in 9th grade on grade level, they are 90% likely to go on to college and be successful. But if they come into 9th grade, not on 9th grade level, they only have a 10% chance.
Exactly.
Right? And those numbers, when you disaggregate them by black, brown, poor, gets worse. Right? And so to your point, we got to take it seriously. But I also say, to your point earlier, it's like if it's a system that's designed this way, we're penalizing kids, and I don't want to say penalize, but I'll use the word penalize. We're penalizing kids with retention, right? But what are we doing in those environments, right, where the school, are you retaining the teacher? Who was supposed to be teaching the kid, right? Because the kid is just, they're there to learn, right? And so they're like, hey, my fault, I gotta do this again because y'all didn't do your job. I've always struggled with, okay, what is the adult accountability in that scenario? We don't have to answer that today, but I'm just throwing that out there to you guys to say, what is the adult accountability in that scenario? Because I know it happens. Social promotion has been a real thing for the longest time, especially for black and brown kids, that people just kick. It's kind of like some of the responsibilities that you guys will inherit from other boards who's kicked the can down the road, and now y'all gonna have to solve for things that, why didn't we solve for this 20 years ago, right? But kids get out there, Monica, to your point earlier, kids get out there, I graduate, you give me a diploma, I get out there and I find out I'm not ready for anything.
Or they get to college and have to take all remedial courses, and that's very expensive.
Yeah.
You know? And then that's usually a lot of times they don't finish because they realize, wait, I have the papers, but I'm not getting credit for it. And we see that too.
And that's not the DPS we want. I don't think anybody here wants that DPS. Let me, I don't know what my time check
You want me to
is.
answer that?
Yeah, you can, Talana.
There's a couple things that came up for me. To the point of the literacy, I definitely think that the district's done a great job at doing the early intervention trainings. But we need to expand that a little bit more because, to your point, if a student comes in at 9th grade and this is the first time they've entered our system, we may not know what we don't know what we don't know. And so if we could continue to test beyond 3rd grade, I think that would be another data set that could then allow us to really be intentional around what additional supports look like to provide those interventions. I also would say that as much as students probably don't love the idea of summer, but we know that summer learning loss is a real thing. And so what does it look like to make sure that we are closing those gaps ongoing and offering those space? And I know that, resources have been a reason why we've cut back on the amount of offerings for students.
What if there was no thing as summer? Let's talk about this from a policy standpoint. What if we decided this is something to grapple with as a policymaker? What if we said, hey, this calendar that we've been operating under for the longest time, if you guys are disruptors and you say, hey, let's design a new system, forever we've been saying 171 calendar days is what how much it is now? 186, right? So you can tell I'm not going to necessarily, we did that in 15 days, right? Okay, 186, right? Student contact days, is it 180? And we're saying 186 has gotten us this, right? If we want to keep getting this, it's either we have to do the 186 very differently, or we have to say 186 is not enough. And if 186 is not enough, then are we willing to do everything necessary to create policy that says, hey, 186 is not enough, so we're going to go to 220,
But also you'd have to get
We'd have to talk to
teachers
teachers
to
about that.
agree to that,
Yeah.
you know.
But teachers are in this for the kids, right? So 100% of teachers would say, if this is better for the kids, I'll add 24 days. Is that right?
I think
All the adults who are in this for the kids would say, hey, if we need to give 24 more days
yeah.
for the kids, we'll go to 210.
Listen, as a previous 220, I'm like, okay, I'd rather have the kids here if I'm gonna be here.
Well, right?
Yeah.
But I love it that we all are like, yeah, brother, you go ahead in that conversation. Okay?
And I taught summer school, so it's like I did mine, but like there's teachers who no matter what you offer, because the pay is actually really good.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't pay people enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, because I think the one thing about summer school that I think is great, it is great, but I think there is also what summer school does not yield if it's a new teacher coming in. We believe that relationship is at the root of success, right? So if you only have 40 days for summer, how many days do you use for relationship building before that kid looks at you and trusts you and then allows you to pour into them? And so then you've already given up a quarter of the summer just relationship building, and so then you've lost that. So the continuance of school versus a summer, say, hey, y'all, 24 more days. Y'all already have established relationship with the kid. Let's put in 24 more days. Maybe it's all half days or whatever, we can figure that out. But if we need more time, let's not be afraid to do that.
I agree, and I've talked to parents and mentioned it at a couple of forums that I would like to look at a year-round school model where, you know, kids are going to school for 45 days and then they're off for 15 days. I think we all agree kids need a summer. So I would at least want to
Do
allow
kids need
them.
a summer?
Kids-
Parents need a summer.
We both need a summer. We both need
We
a
all
summer.
need summers.
Yeah, we all
It should
need
be the
summers.
practice of all of us to take care.
Yes.
Okay, now
Yeah.
we all need summer. Let me say this: we attached to that is total wellness of kids, right? The counselor ratio to kids is abysmal. I think the industry rating is maybe like 250 to 1, and that's just crazy to me, right? But you have schools in high schools in Northeast Denver, or that used to be in North Central Denver now, I guess East is there, but 500 plus to 1, right? We have kids who work with us in our fellowship who tell us, like, I make a counselor appointment and I know I'm not gonna get seen for 2-3 weeks, right? How is a kid in crisis supposed to wait 3 weeks, right, to see a counselor? I mean, that to me does not seem like a just system, right? And to even go back and connect that to what you guys were talking about earlier around retention and these early interventions, right? It's like, you know, are we willing to resource the thing totally different to get the results that we need? I mean, I tell people, equity costs. It's going to cost you, right? Equity costs, and we have to be willing to pay that price if we really believe what we believe is necessary for kids. So I'm gonna hold all y'all accountable. One of y'all get on. If one of y'all get on, or Michelle gets on, I think, you know, whoever wins needs to know that we're gonna be on their helmet about this. Show us the money, right? How are we resourcing to actually solve problems? And I mean solve problems, because this is the what I say the comfort of privilege is that we don't really solve problems. What we do is we make things more comfortable, more bearable, right? And so we're like, hey, let's make this more bearable for teachers, because then they won't know that the problem is still there, but we'll just, you know, it's bearable. And they, you know, and then until it becomes unbearable again, then they come to us and like, okay, give them a little bit more bearable, right? But we're not solving anything. And I think the same thing is going on with academic gaps, belief gaps, whatever gaps you want to call it, right? We'll appease knowing we didn't solve anything. I don't want board members who don't solve things, right? I want board members who make policy decisions to influence practice decisions, that influence personnel decisions that actually solve the problem. Because I don't want to be here. I got 2 little grandkids that are 2 years old. I don't want to be talking about the same problems when they enter the education system. Is that fair?
I think that's
Am I asking
fair.
too much?
Not at all.
Fair.
Okay. And so how you gonna meet that? Make me a promise today.
Oh.
What's your promise?
Listen, And my promise is that I will continue to listen first, to be in community, and to have these radical conversations. Like, that's the promise.
Yeah. What's your promise to the folks?
Likewise, listening first and making sure that we bring in community and parents and co-create solutions. I mean, I can't do it alone, but my approach is to bring in all the stakeholders, because we all play a role when we truly keep students at the center. It takes more than just me as a board member. It takes more than a superintendent. It takes community. It takes pastors. It takes all of us, neighbors. It takes all of us to make that change.
Takes a village.
It like, you know, it takes some pastors.
Takes pastors. Churches have a role.
That's great, Jerry. Monica, what's your promise to us?
Oh, I don't promise anything. I tell my kids that I never make promises, just because then, you know, if you don't do it, I'm going to say what you promised, right? But I'm absolutely always flexible. There's nothing that I'm absolutely 100% firm on. I think I'm always evolving and learning and growing, and I absolutely commit to, you know, continuing to be open to people and students and parents. Like, there's nothing that, like, there's no hills that I will die on.
Yeah.
You know, I think we just have to be flexible. There's stuff that you learn, and I'm always open to changing my perspective.
Yeah. I've had the pleasure of getting to interact with all of you in different ways, getting to research you and finding how connected our lives are. I'm committed to working with all of you, no matter what happens on November the 4th, right? I think that these things bring us together, and we get to decide as neighbors how best to move the needle forward for kids. And I think that's in a world that's divided, and when you have federal leadership that just wants to keep us divided and keep us against each other, I think it's incumbent upon us to say, actually, that's not how we're going to operate, right? We at the end of the day, we all go to the barbecue, right? We ask who made the potato salad, but we all go to the barbecue, right? Yes, we all go to the cookout, right? And so we have to own that commitment. So that's my promise to you guys, is that you'll always find, you know, us. That's where I was coming. I was giving him time. You see, I've learned his thinking phase, so I was buying him time.
I was like, I'm here.
You
And you
know.
making promises?
No, I'm also the same way. I'd never like to promise anything. I do like to make commitments though, and I am still committed to creating a just education system for all our students, regardless of what school they choose to attend. I think we should all work together in cohesion, co-create solutions, and work with one another to make sure that students are able to thrive and pursue their endeavors.
Yeah, I love it. I want to say this to you guys. Before you leave, this will be the last one. This question is probably a good one, but probably a little bit more in depth. We're 31 days away, and as I told you guys, as somebody who's run, hold on, right? Hold your families close. Understand that this is the long haul of the campaigning, and you're going to be all over the place, which is good, right? But get home, right? Get home, and even after you win, whoever wins, get home, right? If Michelle Quattlebaum was sitting here, she would tell you that one of the things that I always tell her, even when we disagree on a lot, I always tell her, get home, right? You gotta remember that this cannot consume you. This cannot become life. This is a part of life. It's not life, right? But I want you to be able to give you an opportunity. What is something that is being said about you, either publicly or it's been whispered, that you say, hey, that ain't even true, right? And we can say it right now and say, hey, just set the record straight, right? I've heard it. I heard the whispers. You can say whatever it is. I'm not going to tell you what I've heard. The whispers I've heard.
I want to hear what you
Yeah.
Confirm or deny.
Yeah. I'm sure. I deflect everything I said. If I ain't heard it from them, it's not true, right? But what's something that you need to set the record straight? Because I told you guys, sometimes the nasty part of our politics is I hate it when we villainize neighbors, right? You can disagree with somebody, but don't, to me, damage their humanity. Don't come for them and make them less human. Don't come for them and make them a villain when they're not a villain. That's my neighbor, right? So, what's out there that you say, if there's nothing, that's great. But if there's something, let me just say, I was watching Brother Jeff the other day when somebody was sitting on Brother Jeff. I'm not going to say who it was, but she was on there, and I was like, okay, Monica, right? she let them know, like, hey, look, I seem nice, but I'll put it up in the bread, you know. But I mean, even that, I really appreciated that because I think sometimes we don't confront the nastiness out there, and that's why I think you get people like Trump and folks who like that who are just divisive because we don't confront some of that stuff to say, wait, that's not how we operate, right? What is it?
That would probably be mine. Like, I think the narrative is that the union is either asked.
Can I say it?
Say it.
What I was with, she's a puppet.
Puppet.
She can't think on her own.
Yeah.
She got these people, and she's there, and she's just saying whatever. I said, y'all ain't met her.
Yeah, I was like, do they know like what I am constantly doing over at 1,500 Grant? Like they just, it just lets me know people don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Because I have turned tables over there, and I'm gonna do that whether elected or not. Like truly, they were so shocked that I was running because I don't do that. I help with policy and build programs and run their mental health. I'm like, I had to let them know, like I'm a parent first, and I grew up here, and I went to these schools, and my mom went to these schools. My mom went to Manual, I went to George. My kids go to
where'd your mom go?
Manual.
Say it again.
I'm like, I'm from these streets. It doesn't have nothing to do with that.
Right.
And that absolutely is just the narrative. And it's disappointing to hear it from Black men that are saying I'm being tokenized as if I couldn't just be qualified, because I am.
Whew, drop the mic, and that's the end of what's out there?
Well, I don't know. Tell me what you were hearing.
I don't know. I ain't heard nothing. I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness.
I'm saying there might be, y'all mailers are coming out. I just know I've been through it. There's going to be a mailer that comes out. You're like, who said this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I will just say that, like, leadership is hard, and sometimes you have to make decisions that people don't always necessarily agree with. And the one thing that I have definitely learned in all of my experience is to be transparent and to tell the truth. Because when you are trying to protect certain people or a certain image, it never goes the way that you think it will.
So that's real. That's good stuff. They say church world, since you want to call it church. That'll preach right there. Jeremy, what's up?
I'm focusing on student outcomes. I don't know what's being said other than the Chalkbeat article that came out about my past. No one has said anything directly to me.
They said that you can't trust Jeremy because Jeremy is undercover MAGA guy. Is that true?
That's not true.
Okay,
that's not true.
You know me. We don't.
Right.
I don't pull no punches. I sat here with John Youngquist and said, "Hey, are you a racist?"
Right.
So it's like we put the stuff out here. Like,
I'm not a MAGA guy. As far as trust, I mean, people calling me in one of the worst times of their lives to help prepare their loved one for a funeral service.
Yeah.
So as far as my trust rating in the community, it's very high. The community definitely trusts Jeremy Harris.
Yeah. What would you say to the people that are running with you, all of you guys, and we'll be done here? What do you appreciate about them? What do you appreciate about the people that you're running with? And I don't know how much time. I know when we were running, we spent a lot of time together because you go to forums. But what is something that you appreciate about the people that you're running with?
I could say, Tamaya, I think you're really, I don't like to say like articulate because that's like been, you know what I mean? Like people say that it just usually gives me the ick, but I was like, she is, and I'm sorry, you just are. I appreciate how polished and just, you are like CEO boss, and I've told all my friends, I said, she has it, and your answers always are, very just knowledgeable, and you are just so well together. So thank you.
I feel like I've gotten an opportunity to sit down and have conversations with everybody. Monica and I are scheduled. We need to schedule our coffee for sure. But, I hear how much and how passionate everyone is about this work and how, at the end of the day, we want to just all make sure that, our kids are getting what they deserve. And I just think that resonates so much. And I can tell that you are the person that's mess with my kids if you want to.
They will not end well.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, like, you are always warm and welcoming whenever you and I connect, and so and she has paved the way for us to be able to be in this space because representation matters. And I just also want to say that to have 4 Black candidates running to represent our district is just amazing. Because once upon a time, we wouldn't have been able to put our names in the hat.
Her name is Rachel Bidot. She made it possible. So, Jeremy, what you gonna say? What do you?
Yeah, I had the opportunity to have coffee with Tamaya, and I think she's wonderful and has a lot of experience when it comes to the work that we're doing. And she's a Southern girl as well, so I kind of look at her like a big sis.
Okay.
But I do.
We'll let y'all have your Southern charm.
Yeah,
That's 303 people. We'll be all right.
and Monica, I can appreciate her, of course, for being a Black educator and the work that she has done on the state level. I think it was around the Black Caucus. I think I read. Yeah, and so I commend her for the work that she's doing as well. So.
Look, let me just tell you why that's beautiful to me. Like, because I know the last 31 days is going to get ugly. And I just want people, when they see this, like, we ain't ugly, right? This is not, I don't think it's within us to do that. So you hear this foolishness out there. I don't feel like this is y'all, right? And I think the best thing we can always do is to represent well and say, hey, that's not us. That's not us. This is who you guys are. I appreciate you guys running. Everybody's going to be, ballots will be dropping on October the 13th. Aren't y'all excited? Woo! Ballots are going to be dropping October 13th. And yeah, 10 days, ballots are going to be dropping. And folks vote. They can vote as soon as those ballots drop. Get them filled, signed, put back in the drop box. Or they can wait like some of us traditionalists and wait until voting day, November the 4th, and cast their ballot on November the 4th. And they have some great options. They have some great folks that they can learn about, talk with, see at other forums. But I thank you guys for just sitting around and having a fun conversation.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, man, we love having y'all here, and we'll be working with y'all no matter what. And I welcome y'all to the journey with us, and thank you guys for putting yourselves out there.